All right, a while back, I give y'all a little story about the driving a car home from buying it, about the orange 72 402 car. But that ordeal would have never happened had this ordeal not ever happened, more than likely. And basically, I got my first Monte Carlo, the white 70. Can't see it very good, but right here, when I was 13. Um, but it didn't need a lot. And of course, me being me, even at an early age, I wanted a project. So I went out and bought a project car. Worked on it a little bit. Ended up selling it because I found a project car, but it was running and driving. And I bought it in Pendleton. And basically, it was green. It was a vinyl top car, but a little bit of background: the car had a 12-bolt rear end. It had a 400 turbo transmission, a TH400. Uh, uh, TH400. It had a 4-core radiator, and it had a big block fan shroud. The fan was out from under the shroud. I thought that was strange. Well, at the time, I thought the car came with some type of tow package or something. That wasn't the case. To make a long story short, this car was born a 402 car. It was blowed up at some point. It also had a big sway bar on the front, probably that big around. And yeah, and so anyway, it had that about that. Like I said, the big sway bar. Ended up keeping that when I sold the car, but what led to selling the car, and then what led to getting the 402 big block car. This was my daily driver. I ended up like the trunk lid was bad, the hood was kind of bad, so I put some better parts on it, and I put a 71 grill in it. Just some different things. Ended up going to Walmart and buying, I remember going and buying 10 cans of flat black. And I got out there one day and just kind of throwed some tape over the edges of the glass, and I spray painted. I washed the car down and kind of sanded it with a Scotch-Brite or a piece of sandpaper or something, just to get it scuffed. And I spray painted this thing black, and it looked so much better because I had like a gold hood and a blue trunk. And anyway, the car didn't look bad, and the car was a real solid car. And if there's any car in the past, like I said, I think I mentioned this before, if I was going to have kept the car that I'd sold, I would like to have this car back. I'd like to have this car back in the condition it was when I got rid of it. It was just a running, driving, but solid first generation Monte Carlo 70. And now, like I said, looking back, the car was a factory big block car. And there were some things that the car probably had that I didn't know enough about at the time, like the big block steering shaft and the extra tab on the radiator. The top plate was missing. It actually had a 352 barrel top plate. The engine had a 352 barrel engine. So I'm just thinking, whatever. But yeah, it was a big block car in disguise. But anyway, I drove this car back and forth to high school. And again, what led to this was I may have briefly mentioned this in the other part of the story, but I wanted to, and some of you may have not seen that, so you'll get this part. I went to school, and there was a girl that I was friends with, not my girlfriend, but she was a friend. I actually went to church with her, and she lived about 3 or 4 miles from the school, off down in the country. I went to Belton Honey Path High School. You can look that up. You can see where that's at. And there's a road. It was called Clement Road. You'd turn out of the school, go to the left, down by the football field, and take a right. And that was on Clement Road. So I went that road every day. Well, just so happened this one day I took Whitney home. Her name was Whitney. It just so happened to be raining, and And it's kind of a misty. It was a warm day, but it was kind of a misty day, like it is the day. It was the day all day, and it had dried and whatnot. But as we left school, it had started to mist again, and the road was just kind of slimy wet. Well, I had been told I didn't have many rules growing up because I had sense. I was told, Jared, don't have anybody in your car. Don't take people home. Don't take people back and forth to the career center. Again, there was no reason for me to have a lot of rules. I wasn't an idiot. Just a simple rule, don't take people home. Because things can happen and you can get involved with lawsuits, and there's just a lot of can of worms that you can open up. So, well, me not thinking, no harm, no foul, I just said, I never said anything to my mom about taking this girl home. What could go wrong? 4 miles basically on the way, a little out of the way for me to go on my way back home, but nobody had ever questioned it, just probably 10 minutes difference. And they knew I didn't. Once I started to drive to school, you wasn't in a real big hurry. A lot of times you'd talk for a minute before you left. It wasn't high school wasn't like a torture chamber for me. I kind of enjoyed it. So, so we'd leave. This was my sophomore year, and this would have been 2007. Yeah, 2007. And because I could drive at that point, so it would have been sophomore or junior year. But what I did is I got to the end of Clement Road, and this could be a lesson to some of y'all that sees this, not to be stupid like I was. And I come to the stop sign, and I had to turn left. Well, I wasn't trying to impress nobody. Again, we were just friends. I want to get that out of the way. But I got down on the throttle really hard as I was turning because the car would kind of spin. So use this model of a Monte Carlo here to kind of demonstrate. The car was sitting here like this, and I was turning like this. So as I goosed the throttle, it just kind of come on around like this. And I ended up almost facing the other direction. And Whitney's like, she kind of got a kick out of that. It was kind of funny. Well, I had to go back. I went back down Clement Road and turned back around. Well, there was coming down through here, there was a big driveway. It was a big D. And you could come back out on the road. So that's what I did. Well, this time I decided I wanted to make another pass at the burnout in the rain. So this car had it had 12-bolt rear end. It had one wheel peel, and it's the passenger side. So this is before I had the big block car. Before I had the engine. I hadn't yet bought that car. And, or maybe I had, I can't remember. I think I had, actually. I got down on the throttle, and I felt the car, try to show you this. Basically, I'm going to try to show you what I felt. All right. I felt the car come around like this. Again, the road's going that direction. The last thing I remember before I was in the ditch is I heard a high-pitched squeal. Well, again, I'd only been driving a year and a half at this point. So, actually, no. I hadn't been long got my restricted license. So I'd been driving less than a year. But a guy seen it happen. And what he seen it in the rearview mirror. And so the car basically came around like this. All the way around. All right, and I'm going to reset. All right, the car is now facing back down the other direction, Clement Road. The wheels are turned all the way. But little do I know, there is a turf carter, a driveway and a turf carter sticking up. So the wheel hits the turf carter pretty forcefully, and then that's when the rear end of the car, so I went into the ditch like this, and then it hit, and then the rear end of the car comes up off the ground. I was told about this high, about 2 feet off the ground, and slams around in the ditch. So pretend this is the ditch, and I'm sitting here basically like this. And there was a pole, a wooden, several wooden fence posts that the driver's side quarter panel hit right here. And this was smashed. Well, the first thing, of course, Whitney at this point is just crying like a baby, squalling, scared to death. About that time, her cousin Haley comes up the road, picks her up, then some more people's coming around. Well, my now brother-in-law, friend at the time, Brandon, comes down the road, and he's in his truck. He's got a Silverado OBS. This was way before those were considered classic. He's got a winch on the front. And I'm like, has anybody got a rope? I didn't even see the winch. I was a nervous wreck, you know. And then I see a cop car easing down the road. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm still sitting in the ditch. And I'm saying, I got to get out of the ditch, man. I can't get caught. I can't get a ticket. So anyway, luckily Brandon knew this guy. He was an older fella. And Brandon kind of got him on out. He said, yeah, I'm going to pull him out anyway. So Brandon pulls me out of the ditch. And I drive the car. I get the car home. The steering wheel, you know how the steering wheel goes like this. This thing is like all cockeyed. So the front end's all out of whack. I got like dirt embedded in the wheels. I mean, this thing's a mess. I drive this thing home. And so I get it home. And I call Mom, tell her what happened. And, well, so, again, being young and naive, I just crashed with someone else in the car, left the scene of an accident, but I got out of there, by gosh. All right. So, I got home, and, so I told her what happened. She's like, you all right? I said, yeah. And then I told her the rest of the story. I said, well, yeah, I was taking Whitney home. Eyes got about that big around. Oh, and I hit a fence. You hit a fence? Yeah. She's like, well, we got to go back. So here we go. Back down to Whitney's house. We get Whitney to come outside without whoever she was living with at the time. I can't remember if it was her parents or aunt and uncle or whatever. Figuring out. And I heard, and then we found out later that they would be kind of one of them kind, you know, to try to start trouble. So, anyway, we asked her, Mom asked her if she was all right. She was all right and everything. So we kind of kept it hush-hush. And I don't think till this day, whoever that was Whitney staying with, ever found out she hit the ditch with me in the car. And I don't even know sure if they ever knew I even one that brought her home. And, to this day, we did go back and we found out who the fence was. So I had insurance, of course. Allstate paid to fix their fence. Luckily, I had accident forgiveness on my policy being a teenage driver, so my insurance didn't really go up. And I can't, to this day, I don't have anything negative to say. The way the insurance company actually handled it. I had full coverage on that car. They give me $2,800. My deductible was like $250. I got $2,800. I kept the car, and they didn't total it. And then that's when I knew Brent had the orange 402. And then if you want to hear about that story about how I was probably could have killed myself and 10 other people on the way back by trying to keep up with some guy, some World War II vet in a minivan, go watch that story. I'll put a link below to that video in this video. I'm bad about not adding these links, so we'll make sure I do this time. But anyway, I thought y'all might enjoy that story. Just another story from my teenage years. If there's anything that can be drawn from this story, teenagers, don't have people in your car that you don't have permission to have, and you don't have the other family's permission to have, because they can be a lot of issues there. And for gosh sakes, don't try to do burnouts in the rain. Monte Carlo and one wheel peel and burnout in the rain, bad idea. Don't do it. Like, share, comment. If you haven't subscribed, do so. I'm over 1,000 subscribers. And as always, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.